We are yet again moving the chickens. Finally, I have the kennel out of my basement. Roberto is doing excellent. He doesn't need it anymore. When Roberto was a puppy, he had separation anxiety and literally could eat through a chain link fence. And we would have to keep him trapped whenever I left him. Otherwise, he would hurt himself and the house. So the kennel is now out of the basement, and Roberto's turned into a good boy. And so now we're gonna use this for the meat chickens. I'm gonna show you how. Welcome to Modern Homestead Alaska. We are Erin and Jessica Milnes. We are building a modern homestead outside of Wasilla, Alaska, with the help of 3 of our children. Our second son, Caleb, our daughter, Cody Ann, and the youngest of our family, Wyatt, along with our 3 dogs, Tipper and Daisy, and the newest addition, Roberto. So we move everything around. Caleb's going to finally cut our chicken door in. Let's go all the way to the tree. Right there. Oh, there's a rock. Go forward.
Pretty good. I like it.
We don't have an ability to kind of do like a chicken tractor or whatever. So I'm gonna come in here with some tie wire and some chicken wire and do around the bottom, and then I'll be able to get the meat chickens out here. We'll give them some place to kind of hide. They have been off of heat for several days now, but we will give them a half as a way to kind of be protected from the elements, and then half of it will kind of be open and exposed where they can get lots of sunshine and they can be outside. So we just use some zip ties and we secure the chicken wire, and it runs a little bit along the ground where it's a little bit harder for things to dig in or for the little chicks to kind of nose their way out or scratch their way out. And then we used these boards to protect the surround, I guess is what I'm trying to think of saying. I was so grateful. The boys and I had such a short morning this day. We had to go to Anchorage and they helped me get this done. It's been up for several days now and it is working great for the little baby chicks, and we'll see an update on them in just a minute. Okay, we have it good enough for today. We are going to build them like a little house out here. Well, it's going to lift this out. It's just too much. We have some protection, and then it's supposed to be 60 degrees. So we're going to pull some food and water out here for the little meat chickens and move them outside today. Let's go. Let's go. Caleb, what do you have?
You want to see a chicken fly?
No. Just.
Yep, actually flying.
She's like, yeah.
Caleb. Mom, he's getting out.
outside. It's pretty egregious what chickens do. I still need this because I now need to move the layers up here. They will end up free range. They need to first be, they are still on heat, and then they need to be nose to nose with the other chickens, and then we'll integrate them when they are big enough to defend themselves a little bit. So I have to clean out this room, and then I'll no longer have chickens in the basement as of today. Then what's going to happen is the mama that's on the eggs, she's going to be given this room in order to raise her little hatchlings. I think that's what they're called. Correct me if I'm wrong in the description box, but we want to give her a safe place away from the other chickens when she does hatch out those eggs, so that she has the ability to just kind of relax and protect them, get good food and water in her, and really just be able to watch over her. So now I clean this room. I'll show it to you in a second. So all this is cleaned out. We're just gonna put some clean bedding down and turn the heat back on, because these guys are still on heat. And Caleb's like, they are sweet looking. Let me show you my cute little gray chicks. Hi, guys. So these are our lavender Orpingtons, and you can see their little wings are starting to turn from this yellowy color to this silvery gray. Aren't they the cutest things? They got pooped on. These guys, Caleb said, they're going through their ugly stage, but these will be the black and white ones that we have. They've been together for several days with no issues. So these two, though, I forget what they're called. They're another black and white chicken, but they are different. This guy is the reason we separated everyone. He's so tiny, even in comparison to the other three that were born on the same day. But the meat chickens were just brutal to this little chick. So we saved you, huh? There you go. We're so close to being done today. Hi. We have lots of room now, huh? Every chicken I own is just had maybe a little upsetting day, so they're gonna be fine. Someone had said something about they do that when they're scared, so they'll huddle in the corner. They'll get used to their new home. We do have windows open. We do want airflow. Birdo, get out of the coop. Out. Go. What were you doing? What are you even doing? Go. Go out. Jeez. Someone asked if he loves them to like attack or hurt them. He actually loves them, and he doesn't try. We've never seen any aggression out of him. So the rooster's super upset about everything. He feels like he's lost control. We had to put him in chicken jail. So Caleb just put him in the garden where he couldn't get out because he was trying to attack all of us because he can't get his girls in line. These guys got moved out. The new chickens got moved in. It's a lot of chaos for them. But look, these guys are just rolling. They're so happy. They're eating if they want. They're taking their little dust baths. These guys are checking it out. He's got some ladies under control over there. Roberto, are you adding to the chaos?
The rooster wants to challenge you.
amazing what all can change in the course of a day around here. It is Tuesday. By Wednesday, seeds are to go into the garden. Monday, we got all these little chicks taken care of over here. And ironically, Caleb and I cleaned out this boat, pulled the plug so I can water in it. It has this weird, he's not gonna use it. This is gonna go in the trash when recycled. When we're done with it, it could end up in the garden as like a rope protector. I don't know. But what I'm going to be able to do is pull all of my seedlings out here to start hardening them off. And I'm going to be able to put maybe a shade cloth over them. And then at night, I could cover them with plastic as opposed to hauling them all back in and out of the house. So we will get them covered tonight. But for right now, I'm going to use his big flat bottom boat. It has plenty of space to bring all of my seedlings out and start getting everything hardened off this morning. And then we're gonna move on to laying out the garden bed. We have to deal with more soil and start filling bags, grow bags, and buckets and pots and the whole 9 yards. Here we go. I don't know if I just took the time and made things longer for me or if I organized or what I did, but the peppers were all kind of mixed in together in these other trays, and I did take the time while bringing the seedlings out in order to put all of the like peppers with like peppers in hopes that when I do plant them in the garden in their grow bags that they would all be together. I did get a question of why here in Alaska are tomatoes and peppers grown in grow bags, or why do I do it that way? The thing with peppers just moving forward is their roots like to be warm, and having them in grow bag, their roots are above our ground, which is really cold, and it does help the peppers to produce. So that's why they are in grow bags. Holy cow. Okay, I managed to get all of the plants in here. What we generally worry about here in Alaska is the sun. The folks over at Mid-Valley Greenhouse told me harden my plants off on kind of a cool day like this. It's a little bit cloudy. I got a little too much sun this weekend. You can't really see that I'm burnt, but just trying to keep some sun off my face today because I'm going to be out here all day. It's doing the same thing, like the rise and fall, a little bit windy, a little bit cool. So I'm actually going to cover them with plastic. Hopefully it warms up and then we can move to just a cloth over them. But at least for today, they're outside. We're going to put some plastic over them. Easy peasy. But first, I'm going to give all of my little friends a drink, because even though it's nice and cool out, and you saw most of these, I moved into these black trays, so they're not bottom watering, they're top watering now, and they can drain off. But like those flowers are doing great that are planted outside. They'd already been hardened off. The main thing with plants is just like with animals. If they have plenty of water, they can keep their own root system a little bit warmer and they're going to be fine. But if you dry them out and then leave them in the cold, you're going to cause issues. So quick water. Not the most fun I've ever had, but I did get it on. And then note to self, I just cut a few slits in it because the wind was not having it, and then that just lets just enough wind through to both sides that it's not like ripping my plastic. Okay, so that's gonna absorb some sun and some heat. Now for layout, let's move on to the next part of the list. So here's what I'm doing. I have a, give me a second. I have a map. I drew a map of what I'm mapping out with the garden. So because this became 10 feet or whatever, It's 40 by 40. Open some walkways a little bit. That's perfect. This center stripe. Aaron's gonna help me start getting some soil in here. We'll get the tomatoes planted all the way down this 40-foot long chunk. And then I have my map. So what I decided to do was map out the garden bed. Some of you have asked me raised beds. That was the original design. Here's what happened. I grew up in Missouri, Texas, those areas, and you plant in the earth, in the ground. You don't have to have like these raised beds and all this different, sorry, there's some on my camera. There we go. All this different stuff. And I thought what I wanted to do was build this up. Build it up over time, and instead of have something cut and dry. I don't know if you know this with raised beds. Here in Alaska, which is where my class was based off of, we need to remove 1/3 of all of the soil at the end or beginning of the season from that bed and replace it, because our groundwater is so full of minerals and salts that you will poison your own raised bed with your groundwater. Now we're trying to figure out a way to use lake water, so a fresh water source that isn't full of salts and minerals. But until we could get a pump and a tank and all of these other things, I water from the hose in the garden. Well, if I build all of those beds and then I pollute the beds to where I have to redo 1/3 of that soil every year, it's extremely, extremely expensive in the long run. The other thing is you can't change them. Once you build that raised bed, it's this shape, this size. This is what it is forever until you take it apart or destroy it. With this being just a 40 by 40 piece of land that is being built, cover cropped, compost, we'll lasagna it, we'll layer some stuff in here, and we'll just keep the garden bed going. That this year the garden beds are running this direction. Next year they could run this direction. I could move around where I plant things. I could change the size of all of the beds as I please. The older I get, I might want to, and now I'm rambling. So what we're doing is just building up a space of land that has really, really nutritious, beautiful soil. Over time, I can move it around and do whatever I want in this space, so we're not putting anything permanent inside of this square. So with that said, I do need to still map out this year's garden beds. And I did that by taking some scrap pieces of dunnage, and I'll show you right now on time lapse as I get it all laid out. Okay, so the flower beds are facing north and south, and so what I'm working on is the east-west sides. Well, the east and west sides of the garden have 2-foot wide pathways. They're basically just for me to walk and plant from, so that I can reach the centers of the garden beds physically. And then on the north side or the south side, I have 3-foot pathways, and then in between each one of the kind of garden beds, I also have 3-foot pathways, and that allows me to bring in my little wheelbarrow, my wagon. They fit perfectly without any extra space, and it makes it to where I can move around the things I need in the garden without always having to have someone here to help me. And then what I did was a 7-foot by 12-foot bed with the 3-foot or 2-foot walkways in between. Whew. Let me just tell you, I'm done. Well, almost. I have 2 more things I'm gonna do tonight. Aaron just called me. It's 7 o'clock, almost nearly 7. He left our house 13 hours ago. He just said, I'm still at work. I don't even know when I'm going to be leaving. So obviously he's not going to lay the soil here tonight. That's okay. I have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 3 days. Here we go. So here's what we have. 7-foot wide beds, 12 foot long. That's a 2-foot pathway, 3 foot, 3 foot down the centers. Don't worry too much. All I was trying to do here, is give myself kind of a gauge. So what I'm gonna do now is, if you look on the side here, from this earth, it kind of tapers up. There's soil that we added, and then that, and then the beds, what I did was steal the compost instead of just walking on all of it, and built the beds up just a little bit. In the fall, we'll break it all up with a big rake fork type thing and kind of get everything turned into it for winter. Plant a cover crop, kind of level it out. No problems. We're way away from that right now. But I'm going to cover the walkways with straw so that my soil is covered, so that it is at least still getting nutrients, breaking down that straw. We're going to be building good things in this garden. Down here I'm going to do potatoes. These beds are not quite 7 foot across. They're more like 6. Okay, so just so you know, the rebar I got out of the trash pile. Some of them are long and some of them are really short. And so my rope makes it look like the ground is super sloped. It was guiding me like where's the pathways, not what's the height of the garden. So I'll either pull those or fix that. So ignore that. But these are my potato beds. They are super duper deep because of the slope. This way that naturally exists, we naturally had way more dirt and compost at this end. So I'm going to put potatoes down here because we have almost 12 inches of soil and compost. That's a lot. That's enough to do potatoes, tomatoes, anything that needs a real deep root system. So, okay, straw, maybe planting potatoes tonight and then going in, but it is 7 o'clock and my arm hurts. I whacked with this hand like 3 times with this stupid hammer. I have a blister on the other hand, but no rest. Here we go. Keep going. Let's see. Today is Friday, and I had gotten this straw in. It isn't as nice as the wood chips were to walk on last year. However, it does break down much quicker. It is going to maybe be a little bit of a better system in the long run to use it, but it just kind of scoots around and exposes the mud. And what I'm trying to avoid at the end of all of it is, once we get all the garden in, that I'm not dragging so much mud and dirt up the porch into the house, so on and so forth. I'm just trying to mitigate the amount of cleaning I'm having to do because of the garden. I'm a little spread out right here. I don't know if you can see it. Can you see that pot behind me? I put some 4x4s in these pots. And I'm going to use some concrete and concrete them in, and they're actually going to have flowers and stuff in them, but I'm going to use them mostly as a way to hold hoses in the garden area. We have some old bags of concrete. Not necessary to have the high strength for what we're doing, but they are just left over from one of the pads we poured in our basement. So I don't really need the concrete, and I need it gone out of the garage anyway. So instead of buying more and wasting money, I'm just using these old 4x4s. I'll touch them up after I get the concrete on them, and then we will put some hooks on them and I'll show you. But I thought this would be a really cute project for the garden to share with you. I'm laughing. I almost deleted this clip because you can't even see. I don't know what I was doing with the camera, but I was mixing concrete in the corner over there and you can't even see it. But I thought it was so funny how many times my chickens just are so interested in everything that I'm doing. And they are sticking their heads and everything. But they did stay away from the concrete. At first I was a little bit worried about them, but here we go. Much better view. I am just using this 80-pound bag of concrete, mixing it with some water, and just pouring maybe 2 inches in the bottom. Aaron said it wasn't enough. However, I have to physically be able to move these pots, and I am not as strong as him and the boys. And that doesn't mean that I'm weak. It just simply means that I have to build things sometimes around here that I can deal with them without having to stop and wait for everybody's help. And so I just use a little bit of concrete and dirt later in order to build them. Okay, they're gonna be super cute, I promise. Anywho, when they set up, which they can totally just be here, I just came along the yard and like squished them into some flat spots so I could set them up, got my stuff rinsed off, and I'm just gonna hit them maybe a light sanding tomorrow and stain them the same color, or protect them the same color as the woodshed there. And then I'm gonna put these little black hooks on them and we can hang hose, but on the other sides where the hose isn't hanging, we can put little flowers. So they're gonna be cute as can be. And then let's see what else we can tackle today. Today's first bed begs the gardening question. Will it grow? Couple of mistakes. We're giving a bed to some things that just didn't happen. I did not get the garlic in time, nor did we have the garden or the bed or anything set up until just a couple of days ago. Therefore, the garlic isn't in the ground. It's going in the ground today. It's gonna border these potatoes that are already becoming something. So the question of, will it grow? I'm giving over a bed to find out. It's totally worth the risk. Garlic and potatoes. Not gonna lie, I just crowded these potatoes in here because we aren't certain that they're going to grow. The other thing is, because these beds are so deep, there is space for them to go down and up as far as growth goes, and then I can always add soil to it. I have this 333. It's just a really, really light fertilizer. Now, I had fertilized the entire garden and mixed it in, and that was a kind of a new garden bed fertilizer mixture that I used, and I'm happy to share that with you if that's something that you're interested in. And that is all based off of the soil report for the compost that's on the top. There isn't a soil report for that layer of free dirt that Aaron got me. Anyway, way off tangent here. With planting, sprouting potatoes, plant that long stringy thing upwards, and I put the whole potato in there. I did not cut them, and we will see if it worked. I just got home from breakfast with all my neighbor lady friends. I totally lose my train of thought and swap back and forth in this clip of conversations. And number one, I was saying that I got home from having breakfast with all of the neighbor ladies. There's 10 of us, and we're all within a mile or so of each other, help each other out, watch over each other's places, and so on. But what I'm really trying to show you in the garden here, and I thought it was important, and moving forward, I probably wouldn't even do the concrete, I would just do this, is I put this dirt in there, and I find the heaviest flat thing that I can, which is this big hammer thing that Aaron has to put an anchor in the ground if the Argo were to get stuck and we had to winch it out. So that's where this big hammer sledge deal came from. but the weight of it, and it's flat, is I put this dirt in and I just drop it on the dirt, and I pack these posts in, and that's actually what's going to hold them. This is a better idea moving forward, unless you always wanted concrete in the bucket, because if I would have done this, I could have removed the post and the dirt from the buckets if I ever changed my mind on how and what I wanted to do. However, not a big deal, based on the fact I paid on clearance $4 for these massive pots here. The dunnage was free. The concrete was basically free because it was leftover from another project. The hooks I had gotten for the garage. Yeah, it's leftover stain from doing the woodshed. So for the most part, these buckets ended up costing me the $4 that I spent for the buckets. Once I get the dirt packed in at a level, I figured it out, and I drilled in the sides, just one side, the back side that will face away of each bucket. I did 4 or 5 holes, and that is so when we do have flowers in here, they have some drainage as well. I am not looking for a perfect, pristine. We live in a rustic environment in the woods. I do with the stain though, just take it right at the soil level. I don't want to bury it, so you can kind of see I'm not going deep into the bucket on this 4x4, this dunnage. I don't know that it would cause any problems. I'm just not trying. And then I just pre-drill some holes and use these kind of fat rounded up hooks. I think at Home Depot these were $3 maybe, so if I did include that in the price, super cheap. So cute. Look at it. Okay, so I have to put some dirt and flowers and whatnot in there. So what I did, we don't have any like water lines ran, is I did quick connects on all these hoses. Da-da-da-da. So it just snaps quickly on and off. It's hooked to the house. This one has to be right here, and the reason is when we drive through there to go to the backyard, we need to move the hose. So this hose drags out. Oh no, she's running from him. Did you see that? Anyway, this hose drags out here, and I just tuck it in the fence where I want to water. But look at these little hoses down here. Let's go. So I'm gonna plant flowers on the back side so they can kind of spill over a little bit. But look at those at the end. So let me see, what's a good spinning around here. Okay, so the hoses, you're the hose. It strings straight down here. It connects down there, but this is the downhill side, so the hose can drain, and then dun, da, 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 they go here. And then I can store them and I don't have hoses drug out across the garden. So this one waters both of these sides, but I can also use it to spinning, water the chickens, do anything out in this area. Then this middle hose, this will be our final tour, and I'll cut off only because this video is gonna be super long if I don't. So then this hose goes here, and it waters partway into that bed, partway into this bed. This hose is probably going to be my most used or second most used of the hoses. So here was our potatoes and garlic, our Will It Grow bed. That's the only one I have planted out. Then the third hose is here. I originally thought about doing a fourth one there, but I couldn't figure out why. Because this one can go this direction, and then right here, when Aaron has a minute, he'll bring in that pile of dirt here, and then the tomatoes and the trellis go here. Well, I can water all of that from this hose. Does that make sense? It made sense in my head. Got a little straw down. Guys, it is coming. It's coming along. Just takes forever. It is the most physically demanding day after day thing I think I've ever done as far as a job. But yeah, I think it's super, super cute. It's been rainy in the mornings the last couple of days, but that is good. Let's check on the plants, then I'll let you go. Okay, so now I have 3 loads. After we finish doing what we're doing with the dirt over here, it'll start going other parts of the property. But we put the plastic on. Thank goodness we did, because it keeps getting chilly, not freezing, right? So not to the point where we need to take them back in, but they look a little bit rough, if you can see, but that's okay. They are going to pop right out of this when they get in the ground and it really starts perking up. So everyone is looking alive. Looking good, ladies. Hello, friends. Okay, look at my celery. Isn't that unbelievable? I'd have never thought. I would have literally thought celery was a super easy thing to grow. So, Caleb's hollering for me. I have to head out and go get some compost tea and my biochar picked up. With that, thank you for being here with us today. You are so, so greatly appreciated. I hope that each and every one of you have a super blessed weekend and the rest of the week, and I will see you after the holiday on Monday.
Like and
Bye.
subscribe.
Like it. Oh, I didn't even say that. Like, subscribe, thumbs up, comments, all those things help our channel to grow. If you're not part of the family, hit that subscribe button now, ring the bell, you'll get notifications. Talk to you guys soon.
I like this chicken just over here sleeping.